Good morning students, good morning everyone. Welcome to the class. Today in this video we'll take up our first chapter, the fun they had. The chapter number 1, the fun they had. It's a very interesting chapter. The fun they had. In this video we'll summarize this chapter. We will summarize this chapter, the fun they had, chapter 1. Students, the name, the fun they had. Can we think of what this chapter will be all about? The reason the author has selected this title, the fun they had, is disclosed in the last line of the chapter. And this is a very interesting chapter, I would say, because the topic of the chapter is such that it will interest you all. It is a science fiction story. It is a science fiction story. And we will go into the future, and we will see how students live and study in future. So we will talk about that. Let's first quickly talk about the author of this story, whose name is Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov is the author of this story. He was an American, and it's a very beautiful story. We'll summarize it. So quickly about the author. Isaac Asimov was born in 1920. And he lived through till 1992. Now, he was born in Russia. But when he was 3 years old, his parents moved to USA, to New York, and he also moved with them. And upon coming to New York, to USA, his father tried different things, but the main venture was a candy store. He opened a candy store, and after it he opened a number of candy stores in succession in New York. And in these candy stores, everyone in the family was supposed to work for some time, for a few hours. Everyone was supposed to contribute towards the family business. So Isaac also used to go there as a child, as a young child. And one thing which was there in these candy stores was that they used to sell newspapers and magazines. And from there Isaac picked this habit, got this habit of reading science literature, science fiction. He got interested into it. That is the first time he was introduced to it. And eventually he will be so interested in it that he would start writing. He would even start short stories as well. And later when he completed his schooling and college as well, he joined the US Army. And he served there only for 9 months. Because of his Russian origin, there was some problem, and he was asked to resign. So he did not work with the US Army for too long, only 9 months. Afterwards, he completed his PhD. He did his PhD in chemistry, if I am not wrong, in chemistry, or it was biochemistry. Something like that. He did his PhD. It was in chemistry. He did his PhD in chemistry, and afterwards he became an assistant professor. He started teaching at Boston University, and afterwards he started writing novels. And all his novels are science fiction novels. Initially, when he was a young man studying in college, he used to write stories, but now he started writing novels. He became very famous, and actually he has written a lot. He has written written and edited so many books. So if we combine all the books that he has written or edited, it is more than 500 books. More than 500 books he has written or edited. And he used to write letters as well, and postcards as well. The number is close to 1 lakh. He wrote around 90,000 letters and postcards. And so he was a prolific writer. He used to write a lot. He was a prolific writer, but his main subject was science fiction. Though he has written a few other books which are of other genre, but then his main genre, student genre is category. His main genre was genre, G-E-N-R-E. His main genre was science fiction, and we are talking about Isaac Asimov, the author, right? So he wrote so many books, and he had won so many awards. He had won so many awards. He is a like widely read science fiction author. He, like in America, they have got this award called Hugo and Nebula, and he had won number of them. And there are so many things which have been named after him. Honda made a robot. Honda made a robot, and it is also named as Asimov. Then there is a school after like which is named after him. He also served as president of American Humanist Association. He was a president of that association, and he, like, there are so many awards. There are so many science awards, science fiction awards, literary awards of science fiction that are named after him. There are 4 of them. There are 4 different awards which are named after him. He was like, he's one of the most famous science fiction authors, Isaac Asimov. Students, so we'll come to our story. We'll come to our story, which is what the fun they had. The fun they had. It's a story set in 2157. 2157. We are in which year? We are in 2023 right now. So 2023, then 2123, 100 years after now, 100 years after now will be 2123, and you add like around 30 years more, and you will be in 2157. So this story is set in future. This story is set in future. Isaac Asimov wrote this story around 1950. He wrote it around 1950, and so at that time he must have like imagined a time period which was like after 200 years, but more than 70 years have passed, more than 70 years have lapsed after he wrote this story. So now we are left with 130 years. So this story is set in future. We'll go to future. We'll see how things are in future, how kids are in future, how schooling is in future. So we will talk about that. Let's start with the summary of the chapter. So we have got a girl named Margie. We have got a girl named Margie, and we have got a boy named Tommy. Okay. So these 2 kids, these are they are neighbors. They are neighbors. Margie and Tommy. They are neighbors, and Tommy has found a book. Tommy has found a real book, and he's surprised. He's shocked. He's like astonished, because books don't exist in 2157. They don't exist at all. Nobody prints books anymore. All the written material is available online. It is available in your computers. So he was very it was a very surprising discovery for him to see a book which used to exist so many decades, or I should say centuries ago, and he has found a book. He is very shocked and surprised, and he will show the book to Margie as well. Now Tommy is 13 years old. Tommy is 13 years old, and Margie is 11 years old. Okay, Margie is 11 years old, and these 2 kids are neighbors, and Tommy has found a book in his attic. In his attic. Attic. What is attic, students? Attic. You can also call it garret. Garret. And what does it mean? It means a room, a space near the roof. So earlier people used to make these small rooms near the roof. So it's not like the ground floor, first floor. These attics used to be small. Actually, sometimes some people do refer to the topmost floor as the attic. Like in India, we used to call it Atari in Hindi. In Hindi, we used to call it Atari. So Atari was like a place, a space near the roof. So I have got this room, and on the top near the roof, I will have one more roof a little below, and there will be a room, a space where I can store my things, and I can keep my things stored. I can use it as a storehouse. So that place will be called attic or garret, so he found the book in an attic, right? And he was very shocked. He was surprised. He will show the book to Margie as well. They both are surprised to see that book, and they will turn the pages, and they are looking at it very curiously. They are very curious to find the book, because Margie remembered that once her grandfather told her that when his grandfather was a child, was a young boy, they used to have these real books. So she had heard something about it. She had never seen it, because they have not existed for so many decades now. But both of them were very surprised. They had a vague idea what books are and when they were published and how they were published, how like they knew that it existed in past, but it was something new for them. So they will turn over the pages. Now the book is very old, the pages are yellowish and they are all creased. It's not a new book, it's not a brand new book with like fine white pages and all smooth pages. No, it's an old book. It has got yellowish pages, and the pages are all crinkly. Crinkly means all greased. Crinkly means it has got creases. It has called not greased bachcho, creased. When we iron our clothes, we make a crease, right? In our pants we make a crease. What I was going to write, it skipped my mind. Okay, crinkly, the word crinkly, crinkly, right? So, crinkly, the pages were all yellowish and crinkly, all creased. They are looking at the book, they are trying to read, and they were they noticed a few very strange things. One, the words were not moving, the words were still on their computer screen. The words move, they can scroll up and down. Students, now we are so habitual with computers and mobile phones and how it works, how the text looks. The time when this book was written, this story was written, computers were not that popular. They were just being invented, and they had these punch codes that they used to have. So they did not have these word files and PDFs, and they were not so used to. It was like a new invention. The computers had just been invented in 1950s. So a few things which we will read in this chapter about computers, in the book it appears as if it's a very such a futuristic thing, the computer, but then for us it is like a normal thing. Computers are not futuristic for us, mobile phones are not futuristic. They have not even mentioned anything about mobile phones, but then yeah, books were a thing of a past for them, as per the story. So students, these kids are going through the book. Margie asks, what is the book about? What is the book about? And Tommy tells her that it's about school. And she's like, school? What is there to write about schools? Schools are so boring. She hates school. She hates school. She is scornful. She is scornful. What is scornful? She is scornful about schools. Scornful is like filled with a feeling of hatred or dislike. That is scornful. So she is scornful about schools, and she says, what is there to write about schools? And he will tell her how these schools were so different. These were not like our rooms that we have in our houses. So now Margie and Tommy have got one room, dedicated room, which is called the school room in their house, and they go there, sit there on their table. They have got a computer and keyboard, and they study there. You can look at the pictures given on the first page of the chapter, and they also have a teacher. Margie and Tommy have a teacher, which is not a human being, not a person. It is a robot. It is a robot, and so they call it a mechanical teacher. A mechanical teacher, it's a robot, and it teaches them. And then so it's a one-on-one school. There are not so many students. There is only one student and one mechanical teacher, one computer. It's all one-on-one. So anyway, students, Margie and Tommy, they are talking about the school. Tommy tells her how these people used to have a teacher, a human being as a teacher, and she's surprised. What? A human being used to come to every student's house to teach them? And he's like, no, they used to have these separate buildings called school. They were not like us that they will have a school room in their houses. They had a different building called school, and all the kids went there. So it's not that every house will get one teacher for one student. No, it was not like that. So and they are very surprised. How is it possible? One teacher teaching everyone. How is it possible? A teacher has to be set as per the age and abilities of the student, and she is very surprised. She has all these questions, and Tommy tries to explain all these things to Margie. And in the meantime, what happens is that Margie does not like her school, and lately what has been happening is that lately she has been getting too many tests, like a test after test in geography, and she has been performing very poorly in those. And her mom noticed it, and she called the county inspector. She called the county inspector. Now what is county inspector? County inspector, in England and America they have got these counties. Counties are like small towns, you can say. And so it is an inspector who like visits. Now we have inspectors like police inspectors. Maybe this person is some sort of a educational inspector. So she calls county inspector. He will come and he will like he'll be very friendly with Margie. He will give her an apple and he will tap on her head, and he will like open the robot. And Margie is thinking that this like robot should not be fixed. I mean, she hopes that this county inspector does not know how to put it back. But like the county inspector knew his work, and he like checked the robot and fixed it. And he told Mrs. What is her name? Margie's mom. Margie's mom is Mrs. Jones, I guess. Let me check. I forgot her name. I read the story like 2-3 days back, and he told Mrs. Jones. I will check the name. In the meantime, yeah, she was Mrs. Jones. She was Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones is Margie's mom. He tells Mrs. Jones that it's not Margie's fault. Margie is doing fine. It's just that it was set. The robot was set at a very high speed, and that is why it was giving test after test. But now he has fixed it, and now it will be fine. Margie is doing good. He will tell all these things, and he will went away. He will go away. He will go away. I'm sorry. And yeah. So back to Tommy and Margie. So they discussed how like children used to go to their like these buildings, these schools, and they will like study there together, and teachers would teach them. And so Margie has a doubt, like human beings don't know everything. How can they teach like everything? Tommy tells, well, my dad knows everything. And she was like, yeah, he absolutely does. He knows, he indeed does, because she can't like quarrel with him that no, your father is a human being, he does not know anything. Yeah, all the things, everything. But she did not like quarrel with him. She did not dispute with the fact that his father knows everything. Anyways, so she's very like curious to know about, to learn about all these things. And in the meantime, her mom will call. Her mom will call that it's time to study. It's your school time. Go to your room and start studying. And yeah, she had to go. She will go there. She will go there. She will start studying. It was an arithmetic lesson which the computer will teach her that day. The robot had this screen on its chest or stomach somewhere, and she has got a computer as well. She has got this robot as well. Robot also had a screen, and it will like show the message, the classwork on his screen. And also this robot has got this got a slot where Margie was able to put her answers. Like there was this funda, this concept of punch codes. Punch codes, it were very popular in 1950s and 60s. Punch code. So these were like hard papers or hard cardboard sheet kind of thing. Punch codes. And their like numbers or letters were written, and you can punch on the number or letter that you want to, which is your answer. So it's kind of the OMR sheet that we have. We have got question 1 ABCD, question 2 ABCD, question 3 ABCD, and we can mark the answer. In the same way, they used to like punch the number or the letter, but then they did not do it manually. They had these keyboards. And the paper was fed like we feed paper in a printer machine, and they will only press the keys A, B, or 1, 2, 3, 4, and accordingly the correct place will be punched. So this was how these punch codes worked, and computers were designed in such a way that you can insert a punch code in a computer, and the computer can read the punch code, right? So this robot had a screen and a punch code slot as well. And yeah, he's teaching arithmetic to Margie, and Margie is thinking about the schools that they used to have in old times. She is lost, thinking about the schools they used to have, and the ways children would go there, talking with each other, and they will sit together in a classroom, they will study together. And she was thinking how much fun they used to have, and she was thinking about the fun they had. She was thinking about the fun they had, and that's why the chapter is named The Fun They Had. So it's a very interesting story, not too many difficult words in the story. It's a very easy, simple. It is like very quite easy to understand, and it's a very interesting one. Think about it. Like we'll be in future. This year or maybe a few years before or after, and it may happen that we stop printing books at all. Even these days, if you look at it, books have become so unpopular. People used to read so much. They used to read novels and newspapers and magazines. And if I talk about Prayagraj, it happened 3-4 years back. I went to Prayagraj station, railway station, platform number 1. There is this big book store on platform number 1, and I was actually visiting the station after so many years, and I went there and I wanted to buy a magazine or something or a book, and I was like, where is that? I found it, and you know what? There were no magazines or books. He was selling chips and biscuits. Yeah, he still had a few newspapers, Times of India and a few others, but then he had stopped selling books because nobody buys them. Earlier, whenever we had to travel, we will first go to a bookshop, bookstore, book trolley, on a platform, and then we'll buy it, and then because we will have to read something, right? It would be such a long journey, 5 hours, 10 hours, 24 hours if you are going to Mumbai or Pune, so 24 hours. So we used to buy these magazines, but now not anymore. People have their mobile phones. They will charge it fully, and they will store movies in the phones, and they will keep watching those movies, keep listening to music on their phone. So books have become so unpopular these days. Gradually a lesser number of books are being printed, and it is no surprise if one day books are stopped completely, if we stop printing books completely. So this is quite a possibility. It was a very, very interesting read. These two small kids, Margie and Tommy, they made us think. Isaac Asimov made us think of one possibility of future. A very interesting chapter, students. So this was it. This was the summary of the chapter. We'll meet in the next video with the summary of the second chapter. Thank you.